Morning.
Thank you for being here. Good to see everybody. So we'll kick off our negotiations for reopeners between the district and PBA. I've shared with you an agenda, our proposals. Thank you for sharing yours. So I'll get started with introductions. As you know, I'm Tim Kubrick, Director of Labor Relations. I'd like to introduce the newest member of my staff, Jermaine English, Manager of Labor Relations.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And then I'd like to let everybody introduce themselves. So if you want to start,
Sarah Mooney, the chief. Good
there
morning.
you go.
Vanessa Snow, Deputy Chief.
Kevin O'Sullivan, PBA.
Katie Mendoza, PBA attorney. We're missing Alex Lopez.
He's walking in. Officer Michael Lynch, PDA.
He introduced you.
You introduced me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get a new cord. My laptop died. Officer Alexander Lopez, PBA.
Jean Marie Middleton, Attorney, Office of General Counsel.
Mark Mitchell, Director in HR.
Good morning, Erica Rieger, Chief of Human Resources.
Heather Frederick, Chief Financial Officer.
All right. So again, thanks for everybody for being here, being part of this. We value everybody's input and look to hopefully get through these. We started a little bit earlier than we did last year, which is nice. We really are hoping that we can have something in place as close to when this new contract starts as possible. So being January 1st is the new contract date, that would obviously be our goal to, schedule our sessions a little bit closer together than we did last year. We have some more staff here. We have obviously a different bargaining team. So that's our intention. So for these reopeners, we have our proposals. I've shared those with you. You've shared a few copies with yours. I'm sorry, the rest of the team.
I'm sorry, I didn't
more,
know
right?
I need this many.
That's okay. I'll make copies and share that with them, or if you want to email them to me, I can.
Yeah, I
send
can
them
do
out
that.
So we'll get to scheduling the next meetings after we present the articles, but today I'm just hoping that for us to go through the articles that we each like to reopen, discuss it, ask questions, and then look to schedule our next meeting as soon as possible.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay. If you'd like, you can go first, or we can go first. It's up to you.
It doesn't matter to me. We have 17, 18, and 20. Do you have 12 and
We
is there
have
an overlap or?
20, and then we do have, the
32, okay.
32 with the 12-month
Okay.
position. And then at the very end is it doesn't count as
Just the salary schedule.
the salary schedule, yes, that too, but the health, life, dental, and vision. So I can go through them. I'll start if you like.
Okay.
All right. So you see the packet of proposals. What you see here is Article 12.2, resignation and probation, which is page 20 of the contract. And we have our current language there, which I believe was modified right before I came in here, where you have really two different groups of criteria, right, for completing your probationary period, which isn't ideal, I think, in any organization, right? So what the department would like to do is to have a calendar year to assess each officer following completion of the field training program. So in some cases, I guess this could result in a shorter probationary period. If you're on a 206, it really could, because it's versus 250. But in some, it might be longer. But really, I guess it takes longer for some people to get out of the program than others. And so really what they want to be able to do is to assess them independently.
Yeah, I don't think you'll hear an argument from us on this. This was our proposal at least 1 or 2 sessions back, so this looks good to me. We're all for a 1-year probation, so.
We're off to a great start.
Look at that. We could already come to a TA, right? And I think it's just nicer to have one set. Like the other was just confusing. So,
Yeah.
and it required, I think, some manual work.
Yeah, I
in
think
HR.
there was concerns on your side about like the duty days, but a calendar year works. I mean, we're happy with that, so
Okay,
we're good.
right.
Yeah.
So I understand that might be more in line with what other agencies do as well, more
Right.
traditional. So, okay.
Okay, great.
The next is our salary adjustments. So we have already, in an effort to try to get through these as quickly as possible, we have already gone to our board to seek spending authority for PBA. And what we have here is the last year, you could see it strike through. We have a 3.5% increase is what we're proposing for the min and max. 3.5% recurring increase to all officers. And this year, a better one-time bonus than what we offered last year. Last year, it was just a straight $1,500 bonus. This year, what we're proposing is a $1,500 or 3% of your base salary. So those who are making more than $50,000, it would be more than $1,500. So that's a change there.
Okay. In our proposals, we proposed 10%, and I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not, compared to what you guys need as a department. And this year and last year, we've been seeing a lot of really high raises because not only you guys, but everywhere else, they're short on officers.
Right.
So I don't know if everyone's losing officers like you all, but everyone, they're short, so they're having trouble hiring. So PBSO, I just wrote down some stats here. They have 7.5% per year between the step, and then every year they get a COLA of 3%. Gardens, we just finished up gardens. Average of the first year was 9% per officer, but some officers got more the first year because they did a market adjustment. And then years 2 and 3, they got 7 and 7. So Boynton, they did really well. And all of these agencies, they start around like 65, 67 starting pay, or they will by the 3rd year of their contract. So in Boynton, we just finished them. They're actually getting around 8% between the steps. So, and that's the thing too. They all have step plans. So in Jupiter, they're getting between 8 and 11%. And officers, they have around 5% between steps. They have like a staggered step system. And then sergeants, they get around 7 or 8, I think. So, and then I think they also get a COLA. So
What agency was that?
Jupiter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just finished up Boynton, Gardens, Jupiter, and the sheriff's office will be doing in 2 years, I think. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a lot of things between 7.5 and 10, and where you guys are and, the officers that you need. We think that this would be a good thing to raise starting pay. And we had a member meeting like 2 weeks ago, and we just heard we want a higher raise. We don't want the bonus. So that was the main feedback. Right, and there was disappointment regarding the referendum money. I know it's used for school safety, but we were hoping that it would be used also for improved officer pay, like teacher pay. So, members weren't happy about that. But I don't care where the money's coming from. They just need, a good raise. So.
Okay, well, we will take a look at that. So
We can't forget inflation too on top of everything else, so.
trust me, I think everybody feels the squeeze that we have right now, and, hopefully inflation does go back down, but, we get it. All right, next, 2010, I know we made some modifications to this during our last negotiation session, but we'd like to make these adjustments here that you'll see. What we're looking to do is really to be able to tap the experience of the officers who have leadership experience and allow them to assume leadership roles in the department. I'm told if we reverted back to 5 years in the district right now, we would only be looking at about 87 officers in the department who are eligible. We're open to some discussion on this and trying to look at how we can word this or set the criteria, but we're looking to move it from 3 to 2 years of continuous law enforcement service with the district, at least 5 years total law enforcement experience.
Okay, we would have to caucus on that.
Of course,
'cause
I figured.
I know this is something we've gone round and round about, so I'll have to talk to them. But we did want to increase the pay for sergeants too, seeing as how they're first line supervisors, we wanted to do more than just the $4,000 extra, so. Okay, we'll talk more about that.
And make it a permanent position.
Right, we wanted to see also, and I don't know if this is the appropriate place to address it, but making it its own bargaining unit as well. And then that's something we'd have to go through PERC for, so.
I just wanted to bring something up, go backwards a little bit. I know that a lot of times the school district compares us to other school districts in the area, and I got an email here from one of the officers telling me copied that Broward County school investigators are starting salary 69 to 99,000 per year. And they work 244 days with full benefits, including medical pension included. So, I mean, that's comparable to Palm Beach County School District.
Those aren't the officers, though, correct? Because I've spoken with Broward Labor
says
Director, and I don't believe it's...
Broward County School
like a-
investigators.
Yeah, they have a different setup than we do. They are, I think they're more in line, actually. The director, last I spoke with her, compared them closely to our HR managers who do, like, professional standards. It wasn't, but they are officers, but there's like, I don't know, 11 of them or something like that. It's not this, they're not the same as our.
So they're pretty much like a sworn investigator.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I can pull that. I can do some research on that with her to see what exactly the position entails. All right.
Okay.
So the next is the 12-month employees MOU. Really, it's just to add this to the contract. Right now, it's just an MOU, so this is exactly what you see in the MOU that we have right now. We haven't modified anything to it.
Oh,
so
okay, this is just
It's just
a duplication.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just the same language. So going back then to Appendix A, salary schedule, what you would see here is our proposed new minimum and maximum hourly rate of pay. We're going from $29.98 per hour to $31.03 per hour for the minimum, and a maximum hourly rate of pay from $51.24 to $53.03.
The teachers, they got 3.5% plus the 3% bonus plus the referendum money.
Well, teachers, it's actually very different. It was a 3.5% blended increase, but they get paid on, there's so many different conditions, right? One is if you're on a grandfather teacher schedule, you could only get 25 or 75% of what the max is on the performance schedule. Then in each one of those levels, and I could share this with you, Katie, because it's probably, what I'm saying now is probably going to be like, wait, I got to see it to understand it, right? Because it's really, there's so many levels of it, because then it's also performance. So if you're highly effective, you get this rate. If you're effective, you get this rate. If you are, and then we also did a years of experience thing to address some of the compression and also compensate for different expectations that we have for more veteran teachers.
Right.
So there's a lot of different levels to that one.
If they have 10 or more years, they get 10,000 extra.
Correct,
Right.
for the referendum.
Also, it was also tiered based on the percentage increase, so that's why it was a blended 3.5%. So if you had over 10 years' experience, it was over a 4% increase, I believe.
Right.
And then, so, yeah, Mr. Mitchell, if you wanted to go through the different calculations, and then there were different, it was tiered based on, I think, the same levels that we had, same experience levels that we had within the referendum, plus additional, explaining additional job duties. And so then based on the level of experience, then it went down. The percentage went down, and it resulted in a blended 3.5%.
Okay.
It kind of sounds like a longevity. It's built in, it's kind of like a longevity.
It was a way to try to help with the compression issue that we're seeing with the teachers, because the beginning teacher pay, the governor put all the money into beginning teacher pay. We haven't been able to do anything for veteran teachers. So that was a proposal that came from CTA. Could we at least break it out and give those with more experience, as well as additional duties, additional pay? So, but it's a blended 3.5%.
So years ago, the salary was right around 42 and then jumped to 47.5. So all of that money really went to the beginning teachers, compressed 14 levels, 14 years of the placement schedule, that when you come in, depending on how much experience you have, if you have 0 years, if you have 14 years, it's all the same beginning salary. So we're trying to, over time, to spread that out and address some of the compression that the beginning teacher salary increases.
And that was also the purpose of the bonus as well. So giving 3% bonus, the more money you make, the more you're going to receive as well.
But their bonuses are pensionable, correct?
No, they are not.
They're not? But the referendum money is.
The referendum money is,
Goes towards
because
their
it's
pension.
it's a supplement, and whereas what we're paying from the ESSER, the federal ESSER funds, is an actual bonus, because it's not recurring.
Yeah, the consensus was they don't want the bonus. They'd rather have more, obviously, in their base pay, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Last one is just the health, life, and dental, health, life, dental, vision benefits. So we've recently agreed to a tentative agreement on that. It was board approved. So that'll be part of the ratification process on this for the 10th and 11th year. We had no increases to what employees contribute. That's something that really is hard to find in organizations. What we have seen is organizations, if they hold that, give a bigger raise, and then they go ahead and bump up all their premiums that the employees contribute every month. So, you know, we have no increases again for the 10th and 11th year.
Okay.
So that will be part of the ratification process
I
too.
just learned that a lot of, I guess, the members don't participate in the insurance program because they do have the insurance through other, sources.
Okay.
So, I was gonna meet with them. It won't be for this session, but when do you expect to meet the next coalition? Because I wanted to have some feedback from the members that are involved in the district's insurance program. Just,
That wouldn't be until next April.
okay, it would be in the spring.
Yeah, that's by contract. That's when we get back into our regular meetings.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, because I wanted to meet with them prior to that to
Okay,
just get some
sure.
from the ones who do participate.
And there,
Okay.
there were several changes on there, like the HSA, I believe, right? And the cheaper version of the medical. I think it needs to be explained a little bit more to the members too, because I'm having a hard time understanding it myself too. And I went over it a couple of times, the different plans you can, it's not a negative, there was some changes to the plan that need to be more, better explained to our members.
I think Mr. Mann.
You're speaking about the plan design changes,
The different plans, actually,
the different health plans?
yes.
And what
What's the low plan now?
There's a low option plan.
Low option
There's a
with the-
high option plan. There's a
with
high
the
there's a high,
HSA or
there's a high
something?
deductible, and so that would be I believe, the health savings account that you're speaking about. So you'd like, and there aren't many individuals that are in that plan, but you'd like more of a description of each of those plans?
Yes, please.
Okay, we can provide that.
Thank you. Okay, do you want to hop into ours?
Sure.
Okay, so we proposed changes to 17, 18, and 20. So 17 is work week and overtime. 17.1C, we proposed to increase the maximum amount of comp time that you can accrue. So it was 24, and we proposed 56. I think at a lot of smaller agencies, you see around 40 to 60. The sheriff's office has the maximum, which I think is 240. So a full work week, is a lot of the feedback that we got. They at least want a full work week. So that was the first proposal. The next page, this is something we had a few complaints just because of the hurricane, and the district policy didn't really address the comp time. So we just put that if the comp time falls on a date when the district's closed due to a state of emergency, including hurricane, you won't deduct or you will restore the comp time. So that was our proposal for that, because the comp time is earned. We heard from 2 or 3 people just about questions for this, and I know one person was affected, but I think comp time's a little different than the other types of leave, like annual or sick, so, that's, I put something else about the other types of leave, but comp time at least, we wanted to address that, so I put it here in this section.
So let me see if I understand. So they selected to take comp time on the days that we were off because of the hurricane?
They had already put in for comp time, so, and then the hurricane came and the district was already closed and people weren't coming in because it
We
was
were still
closed
on
but
call,
still
so they
paid.
could- yes.
Yeah. So, but I know it does depend if you are or are not on call. I know that may change sometimes with the storms, so that's something else we can talk about further if you want.
There already is a process in place that the leave would have to be rescinded by a certain date in order for it to the employee to not be penalized.
Right, and I'm
And-
aware of that, but it doesn't address comp time. It only addresses, I think, vacation and sick.
Sick and annual, yeah.
And you have to recall it 2 hours before.
Yeah, in the, exactly what you're saying, it just doesn't, it allocates exactly which types of leave, and comp is not listed as one of those. So it would maybe just be a matter of adding comp to that list of, if you make the proper notifications.
Okay, so we can we can discuss that.
Okay, and then if you turn over to 17.11, page 3, we increased the outside detail rates. These are the rates that we're seeing at a lot of agencies, including PBSO, and Boynton just matched PBSO, so $50 per hour instead of 40, and then we did a higher rate for holidays and special events, which I don't know how much that would affect the district. I don't know about all the events that you all have compared to other places, but that's what we did to match the agencies in the surrounding area. And I also put that the members can check out a patrol car. I don't know if this is a big issue or not. I've discussed it at other places, so I added that language in there as well. And you can stop me if you want to talk about. So 17.14, we put this in here again just so that we have proper notice. And this is really the legal procedure anyway for changing the work schedule to bargain over it before it is changed. And this is something we talked about in the last sessions, the change with the summer schedules, A/B versus how it used to be. So I just basically spelled out and gave it a specific time limit. But this is the procedure anyway under law to bargain the change in work schedule. So we just wanted to make sure that we had notice and an opportunity to talk about any changes in the calendars. And I just put a note here on the bottom because I know that there was that joint study committee that the reps were involved in, and they can probably speak more about it. And it covered the summer calendar and also the seniority wheel. And the chief may have more to put in on how she wants the seniority wheel to work. But I think that if there was a spelled out process, it would be good to have it in the contracts. So do you guys want to kind of go over what you talked about in the study committee?
Actually, at the initial study committee was Chief Waits and Major Moore, and I believe actually Captain Scopolitis, and we went over what was previously discussed when actually now retired, Major Baxter was the chairperson of it, and we, all of us in that room at the initial meeting with by Major Baxter under his supervision, we all agreed on how it was to run. It was basically, and then what Chief Waits subsequently. I don't know should I go into how it runs? Okay. The way, and then obviously it's I've had a brief discussion with Chief Mooney on it, and to be able to look further into it and regarding a decision, is this just pertains only to the departmental overtime? Okay, Code 904 has nothing to do with the school-based overtime. As of right now, as we speak, primarily the only 904 overtime is the Bravo shift, which covers the afternoons and responds to calls for service and such like that. Is that when it first was instituted is that we used to have 3 to 4 units working after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 1,500 hours until 2,000 hours, 8 o'clock at night, or until whatever they're working on is finished. So what would happen is that, for example, this would be a bad example, but say what would the supervisor would do is that mid-month, let's just say argument's like mid-month in October, that he or she would put out an email indicating that those who are interested in the Bravo shift and would give approximately 5 working days or a week to respond to that with dates that they would be interested in working. And then when all that came in, actually, there was one sergeant who was actually present on the police department, still working, who did it. It was Sergeant James Jackson. Is they would do the following: is when we started it initially, I did it with Sergeant Dave Nistensen and then Sergeant Thomas. We just used a log. I'm still like an old school paper person, and I showed them prior to the meeting how I had it set up, in which way we did it in my previous agency in New York. And what you would do, you would start with number 1, and then you go through the seniority list all the way down to the lowest seniority person. So if a detail came out and they need, like this, say for example, they need 3 officers a day, is that he would take the responses, the sergeant, and he would have the seniority list, and he would go down it. So, like, if number 1 through 5 didn't want any partake in this, number 6 wanted, he or she would get his date. And then what would happen is that he would work, the sergeant would work the whole month in according to that wheel. Because with, like, in Bravo shift, I have to be honest, I would say not many people really are jumping at the bit to do Bravo shift, okay? That's the way it was and the way it still is. So how would it work, Kevin? So what would happen is that he would go through that list, right? And then work his way back through, and wherever the spots were filled and he stopped, that's where he stopped. So for example, if he stopped at, say we have 200 officers, and he stopped at a number 150, then the next month, I don't know if this went dead, but the next month, he would commence with that person in number 150. It's not very difficult, and
Talking about by month, or not just going down the list for each event, or?
no, well,
signing up?
the only overtime we're speaking about is departmental overtime, which is which right now is Bravo shift. That's really the only thing. I mean, possibly there might be a district event at a school that they might put out where they need a few officers, which they would be involved with that, but the amount of times that it happens is very rare. So it's really consists of one overtime detail in the Bravo shift. And the way that came about was through officers, their interpretation that it wasn't being given out in a fair and equitable manner. So now Bravo is back, and that is the issues that, or a perception that the officers are bringing forward to us, and obviously we represent them, is that to try to do this and implement a program that would be, I'm not saying it's not being done fairly and equitably, but in their minds, it's just really reinstituting something that just went by the wayside because Bravo overtime went away. But now here it's back because we're shorthanded. So I hope I addressed that properly.
Do you have a particular way, Chief Mooney, that you want it, that you visualize it, the seniority wheel?
Not the visualization of the seniority wheel, but the implementation of an actual Bravo shift. That's what our goal is. So this would be something that would probably be temporary. Any kind of overtime that is departmental overtime, I think should go by seniority, and everybody should get a shot at it. I don't know. I would like to hear who thinks they're not getting some. Like if we're doing it wrong, then I'm more than willing to sit down because I want it to be equitable, but I do think the seniority plays into it. I understand what you're saying with the wheel. Yes, you start at the top and you go all the way through. The only concern I had was in some of the discussion that I heard after the fact, not being in the room, was that there was some concern with starting over on the seniority list every time. If we work our way through all the seniority every time, I'm good with that. And we just have a start date and an end date.
Okay. That's good.
And that's what you're recommending, right?
Yes, based on what the chief said, yeah.
Yeah,
we're
I
in
think
agreement.
if we have the dates and the times of when we know we need to plug people in, I have the earlier we plan that, the better, as far as I'm concerned. That's and we can do that equitably through the seniority.
Because like as of now, it's put out weekly based on the positions that are available. So if it's going to be the same number of positions for a temporary until you get enough I'll use the word manpower to be able to have that shift up and running as a separate entity. It's really something that can be instituted upon the chief's, approval.
Yeah, I mean, we can do it, as far as I'm concerned, if the sooner you do it, the better. So doing it a month out, I would go through the whole month, not doing it weekly, because we're not gonna, and then if you had to cancel something somewhere, I don't see us having to cancel it less than a month out.
Sure.
So that would be the only caveat that I would want, is that if we ended up having to, if we get to the ability to plug in somebody as a regular shift and we reduce the number of spots that we're covering with overtime, that we'd have to have a discussion about how we do that. Would be reverse seniority probably, depending on when they plug in.
So are you proposing not to put it in the contract like the seniority wheel and just handle it on?
If you feel you need to have it in there, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I like the partnership that we have, and I have faith that it's going to be implemented the right way with you, but,
I'm
there's
good.
no
I'm good either
holding
way.
on. I'd rather have it in there for future if we get a new chief down the line or when you retire, hopefully I'll be gone by then, but.
Actually, I'd like to point out, and I've been doing this, I think, 13 years here, this is the first time ever that we've had the chief, a deputy chief, and an assistant chief here present. So when I saw the chief sit down, the chiefs, plural, it provided great comfort to us and for the officers. I always, I always point, or watching at home, to be able to see, say hello, chief, is that the chiefs are actually here. Because there is I'm saying this as from a short timer, I've never felt, and I share this, I'll say what chiefs know, I've found that the morale has went like that. Because what these people watching at home have seen in the past, Kevin O'Sullivan blowing his gasket, Mr. Mitchell was here at the time. That's why I think things changed when Mr. Burke used to be here. Is that they see the change, they see the people trying to work together for the common goal. They have the utmost respect that you have an agency to run. They have the utmost respect, our members, that the command staff has a department to run. We're not always going to agree, but we can leave here as that we respect one's opinion, and it's left here. So I just want to say thank you for
Yeah, it's very refreshing and nice.
I like to add, it's not the first time we had a chief. Deputy Snow, we used to have a chief that would negotiate against us. So it's good to have one that, is actually looking to progress and move forward with this department.
Yep, well, that was intentional, and it really is so that we can, show that we are trying to collaborate, and really improve anything we can, work together to do that, so.
I just want to add on to what we're talking about, the discussion. With the Bravo shift, the issue that we run into on having a set schedule on that is the 4 individuals and the sergeant, so 5 individuals that are currently assigned to the unit permanently. If they want to time off, that's where the problem arises on having something set in stone, because you may have the central guy one week that can't work. Then the next week it's the north guy, but they usually don't know sometimes until less than a week beforehand. So and it's sometimes daily. If something comes up daily, they've just worked 8 hours, and then all of a sudden they can't work that night. So, and I get what Kevin's saying, and on the seniority wheel, if we have enough time, and there's the other issues when it's daily, that it may need to be changed. And also, only because I know I work, I'm a workaholic, but I work a lot, and I do put in for the Bravo shift whenever I'm available on it. And not many people put in for it. So it's not really that big of an issue right now, but I do see that it could be. And if it stays like this, when we get more people, then it may be an issue where we're really going to have to definitely be close watching on the seniority issue.
I just don't see it being that big of an issue, because if they're putting in for leave like they should be, it should be done at least a week ahead of time. So if it's not being done correctly, then that needs to be addressed also.
They're also not working, they're working an 8-hour shift first, and then they're working the Bravo shift. So that's where the problem is they are working their day, something may come up in a family issue
Ah.
later on in that night. I'm not talking about leave.
Yeah, well,
They're
sometimes-
working their day, it's the after hours that they're talking
So they're
about.
picking up overtime before their shift is what they're doing.
When you met to discuss this, was anything drafted up? So if we are to consider adding this to the contract, do we have some language? Is there a process written down, or?
No, well, we were just taking notes, like I know, again, retired Major Baxter was taking notes and had it all the way down. And I believe actually Major Moore was taking some notes during our meeting as well pertaining to this. But it was more verbal and speaking, but they were jotting down notes. I
I
know.
can write something,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Right, good. And then the calendar, I know that the whole squad thing came about probably during, you say around COVID time, that was more recent. So we just want an opportunity to bargain over a change in the calendar, the schedule,
Yeah,
so.
the calendar, the A and B, I believe the last discussion we had, correct me if I'm wrong, is that by creating the 12-month employees, there was going to be really no need for the A and B. That was the whole reasoning for that.
I would say that we're not ready to ditch the A and B yet, because we have not allocated enough bodies to 12. We want to see how this pans out. Basically, this first run at the 12 months is a test phase, because we may get to July 1 and say, we shouldn't have done that, and then have to come back to the table and talk to you guys about it. But the idea of kind of spreading people out, the idea is continuity in our coverage, and having A and B, and having people have the ability to choose, if they're on the 10-month schedule, which shift they want to be on, so that they can plan, vacations and that kind of thing. We still want to have that ability to do it. And we can have training all summer long, so we want to be able to be flexible enough that people can take time off if they want to during the summer. So I think that there's probably a need to keep that, at least for this next rotation.
And I
for this
just
next
wanted to
year.
bring to your attention, I was told by a couple of guys also that put in for that 12-month position, they weren't actually putting in for it, they were putting in to find out more information. So just,
No, that's fine. That's why we had the meeting this week,
Yeah.
that if they don't want it, they don't have to have it. It's just,
And they-
the way that it was worded, though, there's a couple people that have contacted that want out, there's a couple that want in. We're gonna work with HR to figure out how we can balance that out.
and
But
that
it's
contact
voluntary.
person, I'm sorry, that contact person that they could call and find out their exact numbers is something that they were requesting also.
I'll defer over to you guys.
What are they requesting, what their salary would be?
Their exact numbers of the individual, because in the past, we were told to figure, pretty much you can figure it out yourself, but they want to know the exact numbers.
Okay, I can get you a contact.
Okay, you could just send that over to me and I'll pass it on to them. Yeah, and I think we understand,
What we're looking
What I
for
mean-
is basically their base. Okay.
And
Now, in the chain that we had already, there was 2 people that they had allocated, because I think that they know exactly what they're looking for. So I don't remember the names of the 2, but if they send it to you, Erica, it might get, unless you want to go to the top
Well-
and you guys filter it down. I just think you're going to have you're going to have 90 people asking you.
Becky Robinson in my office will take those questions.
Becky Robinson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's compensation, so I can say that, I can pass that off to HR.
Is she prepared to take that now, though, as if they send the inquiry? Okay, so Becky Robinson.
Becky Robinson, all right.
I'll
Is it
send
just
that out. I'll
easiest to
send it out
an
also.
email?
All right.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Mark, is there an easier way to do that, where it's something that, a file we could provide that shows what, because it's really just based off their current hourly rate, correct?
It is, but our experience is that everyone has unique circumstances. They like to ask that.
Got it.
So would it be easier if we just provided the 90 names and just gave that number and then just have her work it all up and give everybody their? That's what I would suggest.
Put more work on your
All right, I
lap.
think let's just do that and make it
is
easier.
that really 90 people?
Yes.
Well, we have, based on what we gave you, that you have the names. So there's a couple that are no longer here. There's a couple that want it off. So we have the list, but if there's people that that marked yes on the way in that don't want it, we need to know that. But the number that we have is 90.
I don't know anybody different either, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So basically, the list that you already have is the ones that we're looking at. Okay.
Okay. And as far as the calendar, we want the department to run smoothly. I don't think we're strongly opposed to the, we know that you need to keep that for now, but it's the notice that we want, so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we could move on to Article 18, leave. This is that same language, and, again, I'll voice that I think the comp time's different than the other types of leave, so I don't feel as strongly about it here. But if we can just add that same language that's in the district policy, because I don't think even a lot of members knew that that was the policy with the 2 hours notice, I believe that's what it is, then, we could put that in here alternatively, so.
Yeah, because comp time is a little bit different from sick time. It's time you already worked. You've earned that time. So it shouldn't fall the same as sick and annual.
None of it should fall. It should be separated like a traditional agency is separated. We need to have personal time, vacation time, and sick time.
Right now, I know the personal days come out of the sick bank, but are all the other banks
Because in any other
grouped
agency
together
also,
as well, or?
the only thing that affects your attendance is your sick time, and it shouldn't be your personal or your vacation or your comp. Should not have anything to do with your time.
Are all the leaves combined? All types of
Yes.
leaves here? They're all?
No, annual would be separate. Sick and personal are together, but it designates like what you can use, what sick leave you can use for personal leave.
Well, you
And
guys
then
don't have
comp
annual
time is
unless
comp
you're
time listed.
We don't have
so.
annual. Sick and personal, same thing.
Yes.
And then annual is something different, a different bank. And then comp is
And I
another
think
bank.
comp time is tracked in people's
But
offices.
now that we're changing though with the,
I know.
we're gonna have different days now, we're gonna have more vacation days for
The annual
12
leave,
for the-
right.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I think that needs to be separated.
That is.
Complete.
That
Well,
annual
the way
leave
we-
is separate.
But I thought the way we talked about it was what you're currently getting under this setup is different than the 12 months. So the 12 months, say a new employee's getting 12 extra days, then those 12 days will be separated from what,
They are.
okay, but they all need to be together though. All your vacations, so if I'm getting vacation time per month, so I guess what is it, what do we have here, per year of service, correct? So in the beginning of the
Right.
year, we
You
get
one-
48
one
hours.
per month for a certain
What is it,
number of
48
years.
hours we get at the beginning of the year?
You get three days in advance, and then there's 2 buckets when you're a year-round employee.
Okay, no, let's
So
go
it's
what we
sick
get on,
and-
yes, on what our current officers get now.
They're just getting sick leave, and that's it.
So now.
You get 6 personal days now.
But that's
Out of the
within-
sick.
Out of the
Yeah.
sick. So you're allowed to
Correct.
use 6 sick days as personal, and that's it.
Okay, but what I think we need to do is we need to take the personal there and have a separate bank so these guys can see it.
Yeah,
Why is
but
that?
We're not able to do that because it's sick and annual, and then you're allowed to use 6 of the days for personal use, but we can't break them out, yeah.
They don't want
And
to
it's-
reconfigure the whole
Does show on your
system.
check, yeah.
Shows on your
Yeah,
I
it
can-
does,
I
it
can
does show
provide
it.
like what it looks like.
But, yeah, because when you go to, so if I take a personal day, it doesn't affect my attendance?
Yes,
There's
it
a-
does.
there's a-
Supplement, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it does,
does.
which
It
is our
does.
proposal.
See, this
to
is what I'm
change.
saying, though. So a personal day shouldn't be affecting your supplement. That's what, why I'm saying we need to separate those days. So it does, the only thing that should affect our supplement, our attendance supplement should be sick days.
Sick leave, yeah.
Which is our proposal. But I don't think
Yes.
it really matters if it's, as long as that changes, if it has, because they probably don't want to change their whole system.
And I get that, but it's
So-
got to be spelled out, though,
Yeah.
that sick days are different than personal days, or whatever you want to call it, leave time.
Actually, just a question, so, that I had gotten regarding the 12-month employees. I know all of you are 12-month employees. Like, we have on our paychecks, the sick and personal leave altogether. So when it comes to annual, is that listed on your paycheck under some other caption? If you don't mind?
It's a separate line item.
Separate line item, so it would be, again, just like, you have the same thing where it's sick and personal on the bottom of your check, so then the officer will have, he or she will have another line.
If you're a 12-month,
If you're 12-month, and it would say annual leave?
yes.
Okay, I say this so that it's on tape, so they understand, okay.
And I
Thank
can
you.
provide an example of like what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up now anyway.
Provide a sample of your check?
No, no, no.
You can,
I was just checking.
All right, let's move on.
Maybe a copy of yours.
We'll all continue to laugh.
All right, moving on. Leave for personal reasons. So this goes into the same conversation. We changed it from 6 to our proposal is 10, since they do not have any other type of annual leave or anything like that. And then we just put that if they give 2 weeks' notice, then they should be able to use the day unless there's undue operational hardship. So.
That's sick.
Okay, and then the next change is on page 8. And this is, the same kind of thing, that the attendance supplement, this is something we brought up last time too, that if you use your personal days, it shouldn't affect your ability to receive the attendance supplement, because I understand that more so the worry is probably like sick time abuse, so that's fine, but we thought that they should be able to use those few personal days without penalty of not receiving the attendance supplement. 20.2, I put just this language here, and I deleted the bottom note, only full-time officers employed prior to July 1980 may receive the incentive payment, because I don't think that that is accurate under the statute, and I didn't bring a copy of the statute with me, but I can explain to you why. I can email it to you, because it does say that you should get some type of supplement if you take certain courses under the statute. So I don't know if no one after that year right now is getting the supplement or not, or if you are giving it to them, but when I read the statute last week, that's what it seemed like to me, that you should still get it if you meet certain classes, and it actually lists another statute that references those types of courses. So I can email that to you, just what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Is this something that the newer officers aren't getting? Is that how you guys have been applying it?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
Okay.
The subs that we get out of, they're getting them.
They
Yeah.
are the newer ones? Okay.
I think there was a problem last year, or maybe the year before. They were backlogged, and whoever was in charge of inputting it. They just weren't being done. Well, that's what I mean. They weren't doing it, and these people weren't getting their money, but I believe it goes retro to the day.
Don't forget, a lot of those things, the career enhancement courses, the FDLE-approved classes are processed through the training facility. They send the certificates up to Tallahassee, and they put it in the officer's ATMs.
Yeah, but the degree money, the $30 for that comes out of salary incentive also, and that gets processed through the department. I think that's where
Depends on which degree, but they're both processed.
associates.
As folks come in. I know I've corrected a bunch
Yeah.
that were erroneous or not fair. So right now, we have the process down where as people are coming in, before they even sworn in, I have their college degrees or official transcripts, and I send the chief all the requests for salary incentive pays, and they're approved right on the spot.
Okay, great. So it just sounds like a language cleanup then, if they're already getting it. Okay, for assignment pay with sergeants, I proposed 5,000, but after speaking with the reps, they did want to speak about a big, larger change, making it its own bargaining unit for first-line supervisors. So I think that that's a bigger discussion, because that would have to go through PERC, and you'll probably want to talk with the chief and have her thoughts on that, so. And then the rest is, I know that it's a lot, but this is, comparable to other places, not the incentive for complexity assignment, but we'll get to tuition reimbursement. But we had, again, that member meeting like a week or two ago, so this is specific feedback that we got from the membership, so I'm just going to go through them. Incentive for complexity of assignments. This is if you work at a middle school or high school, you should get a supplement for working at those more difficult placements per month. That was one of the proposals. The non-contract day compensation we raised from 40 to 50 to match the detail assignment proposal that we proposed. The salary adjustment, we touched on this earlier, but we're proposing 10% to base pay with no supplement or bonus 20.8 tuition reimbursement. This is something we got feedback on. I don't think other than the master's and doctorate, which I think applies more, to the educational field than law enforcement officers. They wanted more so tuition reimbursement for more practical things that will be helpful to them, so associates and bachelors. And this is the policy. I took a lot of these amounts and concepts from PBSO. So they get a 1,000 max reimbursement per course, 5,000 max per year, and they can get the degree of associates or bachelors. So we put that tuition reimbursement in there. The drop, there's, that new statute about the 3-year extension. I wanted that in the contract because there's been debate on whether or not current drop members can get it. So I don't know what the district's been doing right now. PBSO is granting it for everyone. And I think that this is a big draw. So we put that in the contract. Have you guys been granting it? Yeah.
If they apply for it, yes.
Okay, great. This is also 20.13, something that was brought up. I know that Chief Mooney, you said that you want to, aim to get everyone a take-home car, which is great. This I've seen at the smaller coastal towns. They're actually giving gas stipends to people because of the gas prices and inflation going on. So we proposed that in there. 20.14 uniform allowance. This is something that the members said that they're not even getting new uniforms. Some of the new ones, they've been having trouble. They get old uniforms. Someone, I think, said that they had someone else's name on them. So I just wanted to put in there that they should get a new set of uniforms upon hiring. I don't know if you guys do this now. We put in a supplement. This is pretty standard in a lot of our contracts for those in plain clothes, to get a clothing allowance. So those are our proposals. For uniforms, right now when they're hired, they just go, I don't know, it sounds kind of like there were a lot of questions on the uniforms, so.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure where you get that information. We spend about $1,000 on uniforms for every new employee that comes in.
Do they all get a new set of uniforms when they're hired?
5 sets of new,
Okay,
long sleeve shirt, all new gear.
okay, that's not what I heard, so
Well,
let's.
I approve, I authorize the invoices. I have them in my computer if you want to see them all.
Well, I'm not arguing with you. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So you guys give them 5 new sets?
5 sets of new uniforms, all
We're
their
not building that in, though. There was a guy that did have a used uniform on because sometimes Manos doesn't have their sizes and everything ready to go. So we have a huge stockpile of stuff that most of it is pretty brand new on the rack. So if we can get them in a uniform, now, I saw the guy with the wrong name tag. No, we don't want to do that. But there is some reused uniforms capacity if people want to have some extra uniforms right off the rack and have them ready to go. But
They do get a new
Captain
set.
Scopolitis
At
has been
least
very
one
good.
or
Oh, no,
two.
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
5.
5, good. Okay.
Yep.
Do you guys give a clothing allowance for the plain clothes
Detectives get one.
detectives?
The only people that pretty much are plain clothes would be detectives, right? So,
Yeah, that's most
yeah,
places.
So they already have that.
I didn't see that. Okay, these are our proposals, so any questions or comments?
I don't think we have any questions right now, but we would like to, sorry, did you have something? Oh, if you have some recommendations, I think Caitlin reached out to you with asking for some dates.
I did. I think I responded to her, and I'm pretty free the week of November 14th. Most of those days except Wednesday now, so.
Starting November 14th? Okay.
I just have an IA on Wednesday, but I can do most of those other days.
Okay, so we will look to, when everybody is available to get together and schedule something. I think we'd like to schedule that one and maybe even the one after it, just so that we can
Us too.
keep this
That'd be great.
moving as quickly as possible. Last year, we were running about a month between meetings, and it just took longer than needed, so.
Oh, I almost forgot. So we wanted to bring up the leave policy because it was amended again after we talked about it. And really the main question is, I don't think that the guys had issues with the procedural stuff that was added with like the forms and stuff, but they just wanted to make sure that every leave request is going into the direct supervisor. I don't care if it goes somewhere else as well, if that's necessary, but because there was language added about leave requests submitted during regular workdays. So I don't know if that's, you're trying to differentiate between like the work days or if they're doing it at another time or something like that, but
I can get that information, and next session I'll make sure we're all clear.
okay. All right, thank you.
Okay? All right, thank you. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You too.